But one of the things under the sixth commandment, I had never thought about this before. And it was not just like, had you ever messed up, but it was, had your unchastity ever caused another person to be unchaste?
Mm.
And that really hit me just as I thought, oh man, like that's the society that we live in right now. I mean, yes, we can blame immodesty and women need to wear more clothes, and men need to dress better, men need to speak. Obviously, there's all of those like Jezebel things going on, and we need
Right.
to be, of course, that's a problem. But, I was thinking back to university. I went to very secular universities, and I would be in these classes, and I was in the humanities, so it was like atheism, feminism was like the whole curriculum. And, I'd have these friends of mine who were students, and they were very feminist, and they're talking about women's rights and all this kind of stuff. And then the next breath, they're talking about like the problems they're having with their boyfriend, and they were just treating them so poorly. And they talk about the types of parties they went to and stuff. And I thought, and I luckily got married young, so I avoided all that. But I remember thinking, man, like you're treated so much worse by men in this society where you think you have so much more freedom, and the chastity of men is the thing that guards the chastity of women. Because no matter how you slice it, women are made to please. They're made to, like Eve, she brings herself to Adam and she offers him something.
Right.
What she offered can lead to death, but she can also offer herself as a perfect, perfect gift and all these kinds of things. And whether you live in a feminist society, whether you don't, the way that men view women and the way that men guard their own chastity, women will respond to that in a positive or negative light. So if we think about the chastity of Our Lady, which we know is perfect, we also have to think about the chastity of Joseph and the way that he guards the virgin, which means the way he guards purity. And all young women should build a devotion to Saint Joseph to guard their purity, and men as well. But the way that he guards her chastity is by guarding his own chastity. Because, Joseph was a man, he was red-blooded, he would have, seen beautiful things, right? And the Blessed Mother was the most beautiful woman who's ever lived. And he knew that. And he guarded his chastity and kept himself pure. And that's just a heroic level of chastity that our society desperately needs.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. My wife and I were talking about that last night, and because, it's a lot of women have a hard time understanding, like, to go back to the Taken movie.
Yeah.
Just the sleaziness of the human trafficking and the prostitution and the pimps and all of this stuff. And how could men be pimping all these women, and how could there be all these customers and this whole, like in that movie Taken, they basically hire a good looking guy. And this happens in America, guys, people.
Yep.
They get a really good looking guy. He's like 19, and he goes and hangs out where high school people are hanging out, or goes to parties. And there's attractive 16, 17, 18-year-old girls, and he invites them on a date, and eventually they go to a hotel, and then eventually there's drugs, and then in a 5-month period, these girls are on the streets selling their bodies. They're drug addicted.
Yeah,
and so they get the good-looking guy, who then eventually hands them over to the pimp, and they're kind of stuck in this lifestyle. They also look for runaway girls at bus stops and all kinds of things. It's horrible. But it's hard for women to understand, how could this depravity and this whole, like, it's a system. It was going on 1,000 years ago and before that. But I was thinking to myself, how could that happen? And I was thinking, especially in our time, where young men and women are watching horrible pornography.
Yeah.
And so they're just basically thinking, well, these women are just objects and tools of pleasure. And if you have that mentality from the age of 9, 10, 11, up to the age of 22, you're going to have a really skewed, with grace, all things can be healed, but man, you're going to have a really skewed understanding of this. And
people bring it to their marriages.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Because, I mean, it's a habit. And I teach, I've taught some theology stuff to young kids and whatever. And one of the big things I focus on is I don't want them to take pornography lightly, because it's something that will destroy your life if you're not careful, and destroy your soul, more importantly. And I've explained what you just explained as to how they get women to human trafficking. It's the exact same way that they get young women into pornography. They don't even. This is the thing that's so creepy about it. And I was reading it. I think it was from Matt Fradd or one of those guys who does all the very good work against porn. And um, but basically, the women don't like. They don't even know that that's what they're being groomed for. But it just gets to the point through the party atmosphere, the sort of ambrosia, the sinful haze that they put them in, that they just end up kind of having a video of them.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you leave, I'm going to release this or whatever. So you might as well make money off it. And it's just, there's a reason why in Dante's Inferno, those who have perversions get, poked in the various private parts with hot pokers and things like that. So be careful with that stuff.
Yeah. And men, we have to be the protectors, and we have to drive this out. And we have to speak. I mean, we should be more and more vocal saying pornography should be a felony.
Yes.
Should be illegal.
100%.
Yeah.